goods.
The idea of the film was created last year with the students that we had in IB Film, and it was based on a lot of their personal experiences from their own lives. And so there's little pieces of a lot of different students' stories that are all wrapped up in this film.
I had the idea of doing a film about divorce because I am a child of divorce, and something I feel like is underrepresented in media is divorce from a child's perspective. It was just a very collective agreement that yes, like we all connect to that. And so that's kind of where we started with that process.
Yeah, and that was like the whole premise of the musical aspect was like when things get too hard for people to say out loud, then it turns into a song. And so we would just go to Sophia and be like, okay, we need Carrie to have a revelation here and connect with Maddie, and she wrote Mom's Song. Like, it was great.
To prepare for the film, I watched quite a few musicals like La La Land, but I also listened to music that Sophia took inspiration from just to get the kind of general vibe of what we wanted everything to look like. We did probably 2 months of pre-production of just finalizing the story, and then over the summer we had meetings and Sophia started working on songs, and I worked with Kate and Riley of getting kind of a good schedule put together and how we wanted things to look. So it was a lot of preparation, but I think it paid off.
Me and Grace really worked on the script over the summer. We felt like we got most of it done kind of before school let out in the 2021 starting year, and then we kind of used the summer to develop further ideas and to get the script as done as we could. We had like this delivery in mind, but we had to like work against the grind of like how we wanted them to deliver it and let the actors deliver their own interpretation to it. I remember us writing like frustratedly, and then we kind of changed our perspective of like, no, let's let them tell it how they would tell it.
So most of the resources we pulled from were just our classmates and people at Central. So when we started brainstorming for the whole idea of the musical, we talked to a lot of people in our IB Film class about their personal experiences within their family, what their family looks like, how that's affected the way that they've felt as a child, and if they have a separated situation between their parents, what's that like, and that helped with the lyric process. My process for songwriting looked different for pretty much every song. Sometimes it would start with a hook, like a lyric or a melody, or sometimes it would start with Mr. Cantrell or I kind of playing something on the piano or playing something on the guitar and kind of writing to that.
As far as auditions is concerned, that was led by our producers and by our composer.
Rachel Cantrell and I put together an audition notice, and then our screenwriters Jenna and Grace put together some character descriptions. And then once we got those self-tapes in, we combed through those, and then we picked out some people to call back to see them read and sing some scenes and songs from the script.
We tried to get the image of a high school student for each of the characters as closely as we could, but I think it works for what we have, but definitely the age range is off.
That audition process basically consisted of them teaching the music to these new people and just hearing how they would interpret the characters, and then we would put each character with the other one. So we had people that were reading for Luke, and then we had people that were reading for Maddie, and we would bring them together and have them interact with one another and just see how it all would happen together. And that's actually a huge part of our decision-making process when choosing people, was exactly that chemistry.
We had Luke and Maddie interact with each other each take, and we wrote down little notes of like the chemistry between each of them, and I just remember like Henry and Anna chemistry. Their chemistry was just so dynamic in just how they interacted with each other, and I feel like that's the most crucial component between their relationship, is because if they didn't have good chemistry, we wouldn't really have as strong of a narrative as we do.
We first started with a group story session where we basically did character mapping. And we figured out who our characters were and what their motivations were. What came immediately after that, once we decided that it was going to be a musical, was we had to start working on music. And so a lot of that was trying out different musical styles, different ideas, kind of taking inspiration from different places, and then kind of starting that writing process.
I think we really wanted to incorporate unique aspects that were really personal to the media department here. Bunker Brewing was just like a concept idea where we designed a graphic that was an inside joke.
Part of it too is the color symbolism in the film. So purple represents kind of like love, and so whenever Maddie and Luke had like a little moment of connection, then they had the Bunker Brewing, the purple. And that's why Luke's parents are wearing purple. Maddie's red, Luke is blue, and then together that makes purple. And if you'll notice, they have like purple bracelets in the film. You can go back and like look for different aspects of color, because we worked really hard to incorporate color symbolism.
I think as film students too, as we watch an analyzed film, we really wanted to incorporate some of those elements that were detail-oriented, like the mise-en-scène, the coloring, the little costuming and props that we each worked on individually. And so if you go back in the musical, I think we all really hope that you pay attention to the details and the hard work that we put into it, because there are so many things there.
So the whole creative process just was very fluid. Like, it just came, like, anytime that someone asked for something, there was no problem. It just kind of came into fruition however and in whatever time capacity it needed to. But when it came to actual song and music, it was a collaborative effort between me and Mr. Cantrell, and we had some guest musicians such as Kyle Aho and Sam Garvin.
One of the biggest struggles in making the film that we've never had to deal with a huge film like this is COVID. We had like additional protocols that we had to hold each other to on set, and that made it hard. Like, that made it very difficult, and it slowed down production. It's continued to be a fight. I mean, even in post-production, we've had to take a week off here, and like, these people were not here, to do the job that they've been assigned, and so that all has been very difficult. Fortunately, to the best of my knowledge, we did not have any instances of COVID the entire time we were on set. So I mean, whatever we did seemed to be effective, and we're very proud of that, but it definitely was something I've never had to deal with on film before.
Everyone had such a connection with the story and also the different characters, because I think looking back and just kind of reflecting over the whole film itself, you can relate to one or multiple characters.
They all came together in the end, and honestly, I think it's kind of those real moments of production that actually kind of gives any film a good organic feel. Like, it feels real when you have people that have to come together and create solutions for these problems when they arise.
I have no regrets whatsoever about this film. I think everything played out just the way we wanted it to. My favorite scene in A Home Like Mine is definitely during the mom song, when Maddie and Carrie are having their moment in her room and just kind of talking about like their different perspectives and listening to one another. I thought that was a really moving and heartwarming moment of the film.
I thought my favorite scene was going to be when my parents danced on the soundstage, and that is an extraordinary day. Like, we've never shot anything like that in our program before, and that was very fun. Personally, now that I've seen the edit, my favorite scene is the argument scene in the bedroom after the party, and it's basically because Anna and Henry just kill it. They do an amazing job in that scene. It's one of the most real feeling scenes in the whole film. I think one of the reasons why I really like it is because that scene has nothing to do, the strength of that scene has very, very little to do with the production that we brought to the scene. It has everything to do with two people having a very realistic interaction with one another. And to me, that makes it something altogether special and different from any of the rest of the film.
We wanted everything to be the best it could be. We wanted to see it be successful because it was so important and so like ourselves, like it really belonged to us. Mm-hmm. And I think that was great. And part of it was also the fact that everybody who had a job, like we knew that they were super invested in their jobs. So we're like, okay, this person is really excited about costume design. And so they did their very best and it was great. And then this person's really passionate about lighting, so the lighting's gonna be good. And like screenwriting, music, all of that came together in a really beautiful way.
The thing that comes to mind first as far as the funniest experience goes is we had absolutely little to no preparation for how we were going to make a grill be on fire. And so what ideally would have happened is we would have had air fluid and it would have been a normal grill. But what you actually see in the film is burning paper towels that were lit with cologne. And it smelled awful.
Being there, like, I don't even know, like, having people show up actually, because you start the process, like what you said, like junior year, and you're like, oh yeah, this is just gonna be like another film that we do in like 2 weeks, and like it's just gonna like not be as big as a thing that we're making it. And then whenever people started showing up that we had never even met before, like, oh my gosh, like this is actually happening, like this is real, like we're not just gonna waste these people's time, like this is gonna be something that like we are able to like say that we did. So I think that part alone, just like seeing them walk in and like they wanted to be there for us, was a really rewarding feeling.
Like, it just makes you feel like awesome, because you're like, okay, we all worked so hard on this, and you have these like legit people coming in and like wanting to be a part of like what you created.
A home like mine has exceeded my expectations. I was expecting a sweet, student-made short film musical that tells a beautiful story about a girl going through some hardships with her family and figuring out her unique family situation. And I expected it to be good, but I did not expect it to be excellent. I really do believe that the musical that we have made is just a beautiful story, and I feel like everyone that's been on the team has just put their best foot forward, and I'm super proud of what we created, and I can't wait to share it with everyone.
You really don't see high school musicals, not the movie, but I mean like actual productions of high schools making real musicals.
It was definitely an ambitious project, but it's a project that I feel like this particular group was ready for. It became something altogether different that I never thought it would be. And what I see at the end is a lot of hard work from a lot of students that are very passionate about seeing this project through. And there is nothing that could make me happier about that as I see it here in the end. I hope what they were able to see and learn out of all of that is that being a collaborative part of a big team is how films get made. And when they think back on this, I hope that they remember being on a real film set and not doing an assignment, because if that is what they got out of it and they learned that experience and it feels real and feels authentic, then I feel like I did my job. And writing a 20-minute original musical with 5 songs and choreography and these dream sequences and we shot the whole thing in 6K, and I hope they're able to look back on this and just go, I did that. I'm capable of doing that. And then that serves as a launch point for the things that they expect of themselves in the future.